It's time to sit back and check out the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your hosts, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Yeah, what is going on, kind people? Lee Sanders with you guys for this Thursday of May 1st, 2025. We got May the 4th be with you right around the corner. Hope you guys have had a fantastic week, as the weekend is literally right around the corner. Taking it easy on this lovely Thursday. I cannot complain. We finally had some beautiful, beautiful sunshine today over here in DC area. It was one of those days where, if you wanted to play a hoogie from work, you could definitely do it. It was also one of those days where if you wanted to get your car washed, you could do it. Although, if you weren't going to be relying on the car washes to give you the hookup, a little bit of rain, depending on where you live out here, a little bit of rain is going to be coming through. And hey, maybe you can get your car washed that way. So, yeah. Can't complain. Otherwise, I tell you what, man, one thing that was kind of a little nerve-wracking, I had friends and family that were like, look, since you're almost done with community college, this was like several weeks ago, even leading up to this week, they were like, look, since you're about to wrap up community college, get your degree and everything, why don't you see if they'll let you walk? Why don't you see if they'll let you participate in the graduation ceremony? Because as soon as I had mentioned, oh man, it looks like by the time this ceremony goes down, I'm not going to be able to participate, because literally a few days after the ceremony, I got to take my one last science class I need, then I graduate. And so they were like, well, maybe they'll let you walk. Find out. I'm like, I seriously doubt that. So finally, I hit the registrar's office and I explained to them the situation. And they were very nice to me. They said, yeah, unfortunately, the deadline to apply for graduation so you could participate in that ceremony, it's already passed. So you can't do it. But make sure you put in your application for graduation, since you're going to be wrapping up this summer. Make sure you put that in pretty much as soon as you start that last class. That way everything is smooth on time. And then they basically were saying that I will be recognized in the 2026 what's that, spring ceremony. So it's like so I'm like, I don't know, guys. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And now the registrar's office was very, very nice. I also had asked them, because I was curious what would happen once I get my associates and then I'm basically an alumni, because I'm really, really interested in taking up, and I've already registered for it, just in anticipation. I'm very interested in a television directing class that I signed up for successfully. It's like 8 slots. So now I got one of them. So now there's like 7 slots left. And I said to them, look, after I get my associates and I'm pretty much going to be an alumni, I'm interested in taking this TV directing class just for pure knowledge, while keeping in mind I will have transferred to a 4-year college already. I'll be attending them. Like, Is this allowed? Can I do this? And they were like, oh, yeah, that's no problem. You can do that. It wouldn't interfere with you trying to apply for your graduation with us. Like, no, no, no. You would actually be okay. I'm like, yeah. So now I got to sit down and talk with the family about the logistics and figure out, hey, y'all cool. I got your blessing because it's a lot. Let me tell you that. It's definitely a lot, but I'm pretty excited for all of that. Hey, if you are a TNA wrestling fan, I am looking at the card for tonight. Remember, Impact Wrestling or TNA Impact rather, it's going to be coming on at a special start time 10 p.m. Eastern, and that'll be live. Again, live. Cannot stress that enough. Show looks like it's going to be pretty good, man. Check this out. Again, special start time tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern on Access TV. We got Frankie Kazarian and the Nemeths. They'll be teaming up to face Joe Hendry and the Hardys. Now, given what had happened on NXT this week, where Joe Hendry was trying to confront Trick Williams, and he thought Trick Williams was going to come on now, but instead, Dark State kicked his ass. You can't help but wonder if Dark State is going to make their presence felt again tonight. Gonna have to watch and find out how that plays out. Also, newly signed, sealed, delivered knockout in Indy Hartwell will be speaking for the first time after officially making her debut for the promotion at their Rebellion pay-per-view. So I have a lot of high expectations for her. I think she's going to do big, big wonders. I still feel to this very day, WWE made a huge mistake letting her go. If you've been listening to me for the past couple of weeks, I've been talking about Lyra Valkyria and everything. And I tell you, if I could have my pick as far as Lyra Valkyria or Indy Hartwell, I'm going with Indy Hartwell. I'm going with Indy Hartwell. So I expect big, big things to happen for her. I've been keeping a close eye on her since she left WWE. She is in really top-notch shape right now. She's put on a little bit of bulk. I can't wait to see what she's going to do. Now, it's not in a Megan Bain, Camille type of way, but she's definitely put on some size. She's filled out better. I personally think she's always had a great build to me, but it just seems that as far as from an athletic standpoint, she's really, really been refocused, retraining, dedicating her body, rededicate herself to her body as far as nutrition and all that goes. She looks like she is a woman on a mission. That's all I'm trying to say in a nutshell. So can't wait to see what she's going to be doing with that. Meanwhile, for the TNT X Division Championship, Moose will be defending it against Zachary Wentz. Elsewhere, KC Navarro will face Leon Slater. And beyond that, we will also see Mike Santana in action, and we'll hear from the TNA International Champion and Steve Macklin. Jody Threat takes on Maggie Lee. Wake up, Maggie. I think I got something to say to you. Love that song. And that's how the full card is looking for TNA Wrestling for this week. So if you're able to access it, knock yourself out, man. Knock yourself out. It's been interesting because I've been talking with the family about some TV alternatives because I kind of put my foot down recently and I said, you know what? This stuff with YouTube TV. I mean, we got mofos that's getting it for 50 something bucks a month for the first couple of months. And here we are, we're day one ish customers. We've been with them through thick and thin, and now it just kind of feels like the price is just ridiculous. Who else is out there? And so I've been messing around all this week doing some free trials, trying to see, okay, who's going to give me the best bang for my buck value wise, but most importantly, who's going to have virtually all the channels that I'm looking for at a reasonable price. So I hit up Fubu, and Fubu was quickly eliminated because turns out, what was it, last year, actually, I believe it was fourth quarter of 2024, that Fubu TV, they could not work out a new deal with Warner Brothers Discovery. So as a result of that, there's no TLC, there's no TBS, there's no TNT. And if you're like me, you're big on your NBA action, especially around this time with the playoffs. You're big into your NHL, and there's a lot of games right now that's happening on those Turner stations. You're like, ooh, that's definitely a deal breaker. So that was pretty much a no go for them. Wasn't quite a keen fan of their navigation system as well. I decided, oh, you know what? I remember a long time ago, it was like many, many years ago. I remember the rant and the raving was about the direct TV stream where you could pretty much push that on any respected device and everything. So I said, okay, well, let me go ahead, let me give that a shot. So I went on ahead. I checked it. Oh my God, I've been messing around with that for like the past couple of days because they basically offered me it was either a 5-day trial or a 7-day trial, and you could just be minding your own business, watching your game. Like this is what literally happened to me last night because I was trying it for the very first time and everything. And this was during the course of several hours. So it wasn't like, oh, well, maybe it was just at this one point in time. No, this was happening multiple times. Okay. And I've got a very strong, strong, strong internet connection. Very seldom will it mess up due to inclement weather. And I'm with Xfinity for my internet. And Xfinity, since I have the app, they do a fantastic job in letting me know, hey, service is down right now. We're doing some work in your area. We're estimating your service should be back up and running by this time. And whatever time they put out there, I'm happy to say, usually within like 15 minutes tops. Like they could say, you should be good in about 2, 3, 4 hours. As soon as I see that message, like 15 minutes later, boom, services is I mean, so I love it. I love it. They've been good to me for years. So anyway, I'm watching some of the NBA games last night. And next thing I know, damn thing freezes. This is through the direct TV stream, okay? Freezes. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I try pausing, unpausing, nothing's working. I try backing out to the live channel guide and nothing's working. And then finally I just go, well, and I'm doing this quickly now, right? Because I'm trying to get back into the NBA action. Finally, I changed to another channel. Okay, that's not really loading up. Let me try another channel. Okay, that channel's loading up. Okay, now let me go back to the basketball game. Now it's finally working, but it just seemed like maybe almost every hour, and within that hour, 2, maybe 3 times, shit was freezing. It was very annoying, very, very annoying. And the navigation, the way they've got that set up, not a fan of that. Definitely not a fan of the fact that rather than you jump right into the action, you get this template of a screen. So, like, say for instance, in my case, I was watching the NBA action on TNT. So when I would go to that station, I would get this template screen showing me the information, showing me the length in which that game is going to be on. And it took several seconds to load up. It wasn't instant. I mean, some serious hang time. I mean, it felt like maybe I was looking at that template for slash slide. It felt like I was looking at that for about 15, maybe almost 20 seconds before the station finally loaded up for me. So I don't think that is going to be something I'm going to be. And then, of course, when you get right down to the heart of the matter, as far as the price tags goes, none of the people that I was looking at so far even came close to what I have been paying for YouTube TV all these years later. And before you ask, I did look at Hulu. I did look at Hulu. I tried to see what was going on with Hulu. It does not look like Hulu is offering a live TV trial right now. If I am wrong on that, let me know, please. I'll definitely give him a shot. I like bringing up stuff like this to you guys because I know there's some of you guys that maybe are kind of like me. You're a little bit on the fence. You want to test the waters, see who else is out there and everything. So, hey, I don't mind doing the legwork so you don't have to, right? You feel me? Speaking of NBA, my God. what I've been watching so far with the NBA playoffs, we were talking about this today during class, and because I was very quick to bring it up, and I know the rest of my classmates are big into basketball. I said, "What the hell was going on with that Lakers game last night?" I mean, to see JJ Redick out there the night before, and he was talking to the press, and you just, I mean, that seemed like some NBA 2K type of stuff where you're just playing your same starters for the entire game. You're not giving them any type of rest whatsoever. I mean, that just seemed like, dude, what are you thinking? And just to see the way he went off on that reporter. I mean, on the one hand, I would have scaled it back. If it would have been me personally, I would have scaled it back just a little bit. But at the same time, I did think that the reporter asked a bit of a silly question. I didn't think Reddick should have came at him with the type of venom that he came at him with, because look, and I'm not giving this reporter that asked that question and everything. And the question, for those of you that aren't really sure what I'm talking about. So basically, not last night, but a couple of nights before the last game, this reporter sounded like a young reporter. I don't know if he's been at it for just a couple of years. He's still wet behind the ears or what. But when they lost that game, the reporter asked JJ Redick, "Hey, do you think that in times like this?" I mean, I'm paraphrasing here, but he basically said, "In times like this, do you go to your assistant coaches? Do you try to figure out as far as swapping out players, and do you rely on them? Do you lean on them for their advice?" And Reddick almost went Stone Cold Steve Austin. You got to look at it. It's like the most funniest stuff you'll see that's out there. Okay, it's the funniest content you'll see that's out there. He's at the podium and everything. He's got two hands on the microphone, and he just looks like he's getting ready to go into a Stone Cold vintage promo and everything. And then he just stormed off. The only thing was missing was him grabbing a Louis Vuitton bag and shades and rolling the hell out and everything. So you're keeping that in mind as you were watching them take on the Timberwolves last night, and you're going, okay, let's see how you're gonna do this here, how you gonna redeem yourself, because now the series at that point is 3-1. Let's see how things go. And Timberwolves knocked them out 103-96 from what I saw. Honestly, throughout that series, definitely for the game last night, rebounding was a big issue for them. LeBron, for the first time ever, finally started to look his age. I mean, he was playing like a 40-year-old. That's not me knocking him. That's not me throwing any shade. If you've listened to me for many years, y'all know era in which I grew up, Jordan's my guy. But I tip my hat to LeBron James and everything that he's accomplished. And, if you want to bring up the whole GOAT thing, it's just one of those. Look, each guy, I would say to you, each guy for their own respected era, they did a lot in their career, on and off the court for sure. More certain, more sure LeBron than MJ and everything. But that's all besides the point. LeBron, for the first time that I have been watching him, because he just has seemed as if, Father Time, LeBron James, undefeated. But for the very first time in my eyes, as long as I've been watching the career of LeBron seemed like his age. And then Luca having a strained back. And boy, I tell you, last thing you want to do is come out there and be wrapped up in bandages, have some type of a warm thermo back waist strapped around you and everything, because other players are looking at that. It's like a wrestling gimmick. Oh, what's Bailey doing coming out there with bandaged ribs? You're going, yeah, that's going to be a target. And from what I was seeing all night, and rightfully so, some of the Timberwolves players, they were getting some of that elbow in there and everything. They were slapping, up against the back. They were not in a foul type of way, but they were definitely getting it in there and everything. And JJ Redick, this was his first season as the new Lakers coach. Growing pains, man. Some serious growing pains that's going on. He's gonna have to learn from this. Hopefully, this was a humbling experience for him. He does come off very smug. I know he has a high basketball IQ, and he is very quick to let you know about that IQ. But this is definitely one of those situations where, growing pain wise, I really, really hope this has truly humbled him. And what I saw of the press conference last night afterwards, he did seem a little bit humble. It did seem like that humble pie. He was digesting it, and it was starting to really sink in there and everything. But we'll see what happens with them in the offseason. If you ask me straight up, what do I think is one of the biggest problems for the Lakers right now, like, what they really, really need, I would point to you two things. They desperately need help on rebounding. They desperately need help on rebounding. I really wish in a perfect world it could have been a situation where you have LeBron, you have Luca, but then you still have a Anthony Davis. I think if you had that trio, oh my God, you definitely could have, so in the offseason, they need to figure out what they can do as far as, okay, we need from a rebounding standpoint, we need that big guy, that sole purpose rebounding, helping facilitate shots. They need somebody of that magnitude. The other thing that they need, it's more than just a player. um I think they need to pick up a couple of weapons on defense, because look, it's been a running gag for years that I have been watching the Lakers post Phil Jackson. There is no defense. There is just virtually no defense whatsoever. Very, very little defense is played, and as a result of that, when it comes to it goes hand in hand. When you look at the spreadsheet, you pay attention to the turnovers, you pay attention to the rebounding, you pay attention to block shots, contested shots. Like, Lakers are at the bottom of that list. So those are definitely some main areas that they're going to need to focus on during the offseason. We'll see what happens with them. We had another game last night where the Golden State Warriors lost to the Houston Rockets 116 to 131. Golden State leads that series 3-2. I gotta say, to see that wasn't even the bench per se. That was more like reserves that went in there and pretty much was playing all of the fourth quarter. I kept thinking maybe at some point Steve Kerr was gonna. I was watching this get close because it basically, as you pretty much were coming out of the third quarter, you're like, yeah, this game is pretty much over. Yeah, because I mean it was like a 30-point lead, and then somehow I think at the bare minimum in the fourth quarter alone, the Golden State Warriors, the reserve team, they were able to get it down, I think, within 11 at some point. And man, I'm going, well, maybe Kerr is going to let the starters get back in there. I know Steph Curry, I know he had the issue with the thumb, but he was also pushing a little bit of a sore ankle/heel. I'm looking at that going, but he might play. Like, if they can go back in, wrap this up, and then pretty much you got a couple of days to rest up. Okay, this could be good for everybody. So I was kind of under the impression that, okay, now that it's pretty much down to 11 points, maybe, just maybe, Steve Kerr was gonna quickly bring back in his starters, and he never did that. And it was interesting to hear him post game and everything, because he said that he never intended on having his starters get back in there, regardless of how close they were gonna get it down. So you're like, wait, what? Like, but you got it down to 11. Like, if there was any time to call a timeout and go, okay, like, what do you? And apparently he went to Draymond. He went to Draymond, not around that point, but he went to Draymond much, much sooner. I think he went to Draymond right before the end of the third quarter and was like, what do you think? Should we even bother playing our starters for the fourth quarter? And if so, like how long? And Draymond basically was like, nah, let's just go ahead and wrap this up at home. So obviously the game's going to go back to Golden State, and it's expected they're going to get the job done and everything. And I think they do. I think I think they will. I think they will. Following up on what I had said a couple of nights ago, as far as my predictions for your NBA Finals, I am still thinking it's going to be the Celtics, and I liked what I saw of those Warriors, man. I really liked what I saw of those Warriors, but kind of looking at the scope of things, thinking about Clippers, thinking about Nuggets, I still think it's going to be Celtics and Warriors for your NBA Finals. I think it's going to be Celtics and the Warriors. We'll see. I'll feel more confident in my pick by the time we get to next Monday, because by then the dust will have settled for the most part. Because remember, coming up later tonight, we got a couple of game sixes. We've got the Knicks that's going to be taking on the Pistons. That's going to be at 7:30 p.m. And then at 10 p.m. tonight, we got a game six between the Nuggets and the Clippers. And then tomorrow at 9 p.m., we got Golden State Warriors taking on the Rockets. Hopefully, Warriors will get the job done. Don't also forget that I think it starts Sunday. Let me just look real quick here. Something is coming up as far as a game one. I'm trying to see where that is. Bear with me a second here. There's a semifinals that's supposed to begin. I could be wrong. Let me look here. Yeah, no, I'm right. I remembered it right. Sunday, May 4th. Pacers, fourth seed, take on the Cavaliers, number one seed. Game one of the Eastern Conference semifinals. Now, based what I saw of that series, fam, I really like the Pacers. I'm not going to even lie to you guys. I really like the Pacers. I know, like, wait a minute, you are picking the number 4 seed over the number. Yeah, just based on what I see, I think the Pacers are gonna get the job done. Looking at what Kelton is saying in the uh in the chat there. He's saying, man, Shannon, yeah, I guess Shannon Sharp jinxed the Lakers with all his mess. I don't know about jinxing, but I've seen enough of the Lakers for the past couple of years. You know, I look, somebody was asking me today, as a matter of fact, they were like, and they made it seem like I was an old man, and I just kind of got a chuckle. I said, you know, I might be old, but I'm actually still a pretty young man. You know, I was born in the 80s. So, of course, I remember Michael Jordan. Of course, I remember when Phil Jackson went to the Los Angeles Lakers, and that's pretty much where my fandom to a certain extent of the Lakers, you know, that's where it came in and everything. So I saw Kobe and the Shaq and Kobe and yeah, I mean, I just saw all that loveliness that was going down over there. I remember Karl Malone and John Stockton, and I remember all that. I lived through it all. And when LeBron came over there, I definitely was going, okay, well, you know what? That's great. That's a great pickup, but it don't mean nothing unless you get a championship. And you got to get multiple championships. And so for me, seeing some of the struggles that's been going on, because like you know the old saying with the Lakers, it's like since LeBron's been there, it's pretty much been okay, it's everyone else's fault but LeBron, or it's everybody else's fault except, you know, it's been kind of one of those funny situations. And I love it. I love seeing that narrative that's put out there, you know, because everybody's under the impression, oh, LeBron, you know, LeBron dictates to, you know, how it's going to be. And you know, I think he has a say, but ultimately, you know, now I will tell you this, after everything that's happened with the Lakers, particularly these past 2 seasons, I think, Kelton, correct me if I'm wrong, Rob Pelinka, he's still the Lakers GM, is he not? Because It's one of those deals where first thing I want to rule out, even though I think if Rob Pelinka still is a GM for the Lakers, if let me tell you something. I know a lot of people are like, just get rid of that guy. Kelton says yes. All right, thank you. He ain't going nowhere. So you can forget about that. You can forget about that. Rob Pelinka is not going, I don't think, until LeBron is gone. That's when Rob Pelinka is maybe. And I think it's going to be a situation where Rob isn't even going to get fired. They just going to talk to him behind closed doors and be like, time we go in a different direction. Let's just put out a joint statement and, you still have your integrity and all this other stuff, yada, yada, yada. I think that's how they're going to do him. But I see Rob being there until LeBron is done. So, that's my thoughts on that one. And then, I teased it on the last show. I said we were going to talk about it more on this show. My Washington Commanders are going to be coming back to the RFK Stadium, the historic RFK Stadium in 2030. 2030 is when it's going to go down. So we're talking in about 5 more years. This was a huge, huge deal. This apparently was something that was really being worked on, really being hammered out for the past couple of months, and it really started picking up some steam in April. And I can't tell you how the air amongst DC residents right now, it is just a joyful occasion. And yeah, it's supposed to go down fall 2030. Now look, they're not just going back to the RFK Stadium. No, 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 no. They are getting a new RFK Stadium. And I've driven by the RFK Stadium, and I've pretty much seen off and on the past couple of months. I mean, it just to see it now, you're like, wow, and think about all the great memories, and everything, and to just see it in shambles, not being used at all, and everything. You're like, wow, this is a damn shame. Now, as far as what's happening out in Landover, Maryland, that FedEx Stadium, the name might have changed though, but I remember it as the FedEx Stadium. The lease for that one, that's gonna end in 2027. As far as what could possibly happen in the interim, like maybe something's temporarily worked out at the FedEx Stadium where Commanders will continue to play in Landover until the new stadium is ready, or they just make the transition. Like, I don't know how all that is going to play out, but this deal, it is worth an estimated $4 billion. $4 billion, because part of this whole deal for this new RFK Stadium, $4 billion kicked in to build a 65,000 seat stadium at RFK. So now it's not official yet. There is still a lot of work that needs to be done with this, because you got to look at the economic impact of this. Yeah, it's expected that it's going to generate significant some significant income. Without a doubt, it's going to produce thousands of jobs, thousands of jobs in the DC, thousands of dollars in tax revenue. And I'm emphasizing the hell out of those, because if you have been to DC, if you lived in DC, you got family and friends that stay up in DC, in certain parts, you're like, man, 2025, and goddamn, that part of Anacostia is still raggedy. That part of Anacostia is still ghetto. Man, we still got homeless people and prostitutes all on the streets and everything. Damn. We still got all that drama that's going on. Yo, just the tax dollars, revenue that can come from this stadium happening and everything, just the billions that can be generated. Not to mention the direct spending, like DC would be able to really reinvest in those poor neighborhoods. They would be able to invest so much. I mean, from rec centers to being able to afford more police officers to patrol certain areas, to be able to create new condominiums, new homes, new apartment complexes, maybe even make an investment in some nonprofit type of deals like more shelters and get as many people off the streets as we can because the Trump administration put this new mandate where homeless encampments, like, those got to go. They're eyesore, like they got to go. And so the mayor's been working with them to, and they're trying to do their best to find everybody a home, but not everybody is right in the head, sadly. It's just one of those type of deals. So this deal, it involves public and private funding. Okay. So the commanders, they are investing a significant portion of the costs, but make no mistake about it, the city is contributing as well. So because Josh Allen, man, bless that dude. Seriously, he is really old school. He really means well. He is trying to do well. His intentions are best at heart. Now here's where everything, because a lot of people miss this part. A lot of people been missing this part, and this really needs to be underlined here. This agreement is still pending because it needs the city council's approval. It needs the DC City Council's approval. You got to get at least 7 out of 11 votes in order to make this deal final. And not all of the DC council members are on board with this. They think that this is going to be a very challenging task. They think this is going to be, from an economic standpoint, they just are like, where are we going to get the revenue? Because this current administration, they're trying to give us this hard line on how much our budget is going to be. And if that's going to be the case, then like, how can we commit to this? Where are we going to get the revenue from in order to, I think they're going to be able to work it all out. I mean, if you ask me straight up, I think one of the things that they're going to do in order to get this deal, I know there's supposed to be another WMATA Metro price hike that goes into effect later this summer. I think they're going to have to turn around and do another price hike. That's one of the ways that you can. I think maybe another way, you might have to raise the taxes just a little bit. Maybe you raise it by about maybe you raise it by 3%. Yeah, you might have to raise the taxes, but they're going to be able to get that revenue. Make no mistake about it. As far as the name, I know, the president, Kelton. I know the president. He's kind of tiptoed around the whole. But he brings up a good point, which is, hey, I spoke with Native Americans, and they didn't mind the name Washington Redskins, and even he was like, hey, the person that created the logo of the Indian, like, that was by an Indian artist and his family and everything. And his whole thing, the president, his whole thing is, obviously they're going to do what they want to do. He's like, but he's kind of, when you read in between the lines, I don't understand why they changed the name in the first place. So Kelton, to your point, uh it's possible. I know Josh Allen, he's pretty much been like, no, we're not going to change the name. Like, this is where we're going, but we'll see. We'll see. Me personally, I'm used to the name Commanders by now. But if Josh Allen is kind of having that mindset of, well, to really truly get away from any and everything that was the Daniel Snyder era, you know, we're going to name this team, under my watch, this is the new name of the team. I'm okay with that as well. I can't wait for 2030. I'm assuming I'll still be in the metropolitan area, working and everything, working and living in the metropolitan area. And even if not, I promise you, 2030, I will definitely be at the first game for Washington, because that is going to be very, very historic. Let me tell you, I can't wait for that. Sad news here in DC, though, that I want to bring to you guys' attention. It's a pretty huge deal. Six Flags America, they announced plans to close the location out in Bowie. Yeah, apparently they're going to be closing Six Flags America and Hurricane Harbor after the 2025 season. Six Flags, as many of you guys know, largest amusement park operator in North America, they made the announcement today that they're going to be closing the Six Flags America and Hurricane Harbor in Bowie, Maryland after the 2025 operating season. The property, it's pretty huge. I mean, we're talking over 500 acres, right? It will be marketed for redevelopment as part of Six Flags' ongoing portfolio optimization program. Company has engaged CBRE, which is a global leader in commercial real estate services and investments, to market the property for sale. Saying, quote, in part, Six Flags president and CEO Richard Zimmerman, after reviewing a number of options, we believe that marketing the property for redevelopment will generate the highest value and return on investment. Later on, he said this was a difficult decision, and we recognize that it will impact a correction, and we recognize the impact it will have on our Six Flags America and Hurricane Harbor Park associates and guests. Yeah, because now you're talking about a lot of jobs. You're talking about a lot of jobs that's now that's going to be cut off there. We are grateful to our park associates who work hard to create lifelong memories for our guests. Six Flags is committed to supporting all impacted associates through the closure process at the end of this year. When you get down to the heart of the matter, they basically said, like, financially, just they've just been losing money through the years. And you would imagine that after we got out of COVID and everything, that okay, now things are starting to get back to normal, and okay, here we are, like, everything's on the up and up, we're good again and everything. I talked about this on social media, which is, it could be the end of the world, like the fucking apocalypse could hit our region, and Six Flags America will always, like, that was the one thing you could always count on. But at the same time, look, being a DC resident, I will be quick to tell you, not for nothing, not for nothing. This is gonna be sounding real unpopular. I know I'm probably gonna get some hating. I'm gonna get some hating from some of my local listeners. That joint been trash for years. That joint has been trash for years. That joint has been ghetto for years. I remember when I first came to DC back in 92, and I remember one of the first trips that I had took between junior high and high school. I took a couple of trips to Six Flags, to that Six Flags. And I had some of the greatest memories, man. Some of the greatest memories. I can remember me and some of my classmates, we were trying to flirt with some of the girls, and I just, one of my biggest takeaways back, the diversity that you saw way back then. You saw white people, a lot of white people. You saw Asians. You saw a little bit of Hispanics. You saw a decent amount of blacks, but the whites had really dominated way back then. And then it just kind of seemed like as the years progressed, it got more and more ghetto, right? It got more and more ghetto. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like I told my girl, and I tell all my friends, I said, I don't know what it is. I said, but it seemed like when you get a bunch of random black people together, something bad kind of goes down, unfortunately, right? It's like, whoa, watch out now. That's just that, I ain't gonna say that's a fact. it's a hell of a coincidence, though. That I will say, right? And I'm not the only one that kind of feels that way. Like there are a lot of my friends, a lot of family members over the years, like they stopped going to Six Flags. They'll go to Hershey, they'll go, they go pretty much elsewhere here. Yeah, it's like, but major blow. It is a major blow. It's funny. I remember back in the day. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I remember back in the day, late '90s, going into like the mid 2000s, almost the late 2000s. So like 2007 through nine. I can remember. I think it was Coca-Cola. Maybe somebody had that really cool deal where, hey, if you're trying to go to Six Flags, buy a case of this soda and cut out this coupon. And if you bring enough of those, you'd be able to get like 10, 15, $20 off. And I don't know about you guys, but I know in my household, in the Sanders household, oh man, we stayed saving those little soda coupons and all that. And I think sometimes they would even have the joints be on the cans. And so if it was a case where you bought an individual can, long as you saved that can and you came up to Six Flags and you had however many, they would take them and all that. And those were some of like the most coolest moments that I can remember as far as like, yo, trying to go to Six Flags. Like, all right, well, how can we do it and maybe save a little money in the process so we can go get, more food and cotton candy and big old stuffed animals and all of this. Like, how can we, and like, oh, here's this. They would do it on chips as well. But the cans was the first thing that I remember. So a lot of fond memories, but in the later years, it got ghetto. I hate to say that, but it really, really got ghetto. Now it's like um now everybody's flocking to Ocean City. Everybody is going to the MGM Harbor. They're going over there. And let me tell you something, that's starting to get a little bit ghetto because now they're going, okay, let's put a curfew in place. Anybody that is younger than 16, unless you are out and about for maybe some type of work or you're going directly home, like you can't be out on the streets it's some weird time. I think it's from 6 p.m. until 6 or 7 a.m., something like that, right? Because there's been much like what you would get out in Bowie at Six Flags. Now they're bringing that drama on, and a buddy of mine was asking me the other day, why do you think stuff like this happens? Why do you think, it's getting kind of ghetto-fied? Like what's happening here? And as I say to them, well, look, this is what happens when you have a central location slash a popular location be in an area where it's easily accessible to public transportation. And then in this day and age where, a bunch of people can just get together and ride share, right? Bunch of people, hey, I'm trying to do this Lyft or Uber to, I want to go to the harbor. Okay, well, just cash app me or Zelle me X amount of dollars, and I'll go ahead and with my joint, I'll pay for it all. Right? You got $10? Yeah. Okay, Zelle it to me or cash app me. What you got? You got 10? Okay, well yeah, cash app me 10, and that one person will pretty much pay it all that way. So I'm not surprised. If you're keeping track, though, man, that's like two major blows. So Maryland is losing the Washington Commanders, and they're losing Six Flags. Governor Wes Moore, come on, man, step your game up. Seriously, step your game up. So interesting drama that we got going on right there. Hey, for you gamers out there, WWE 2K25, there is a new patch that is out. Not much, basically stability and performance issues. Apparently it also affects some stuff that's happening in universe mode. So, enjoy. By the way, for those of you that have maybe been thinking about getting the headset, MetaQuest 3S. You will find this information very, very helpful. I literally figured this out last night. So I have yet to officially play a game on my MetaQuest. Reason being, it's hard for me to sit down and play something like that because I'm usually busy. And by the time it's all said and done, I've got enough energy to maybe just pull up a game on the phone, for a quick 5 minutes, do some supercard or whatever. Then I'm done. So for starters, it's hard for me to sit down and actually play a game, right? But the few times that I did sit down, because I've had my MetaQuest headset since Christmas, and including last night, I only sat down on 4 occasions, BS you not, 4 occasions messing around with the MetaQuest. And basically, I just was trying to figure out the navigational system, all that. So the third time that I went on ahead and tried calling myself, hey, I want to try to play a game because I'm trying to think. I bought the Quest bundle that has that newest Batman game. Y'all know exactly the one I'm talking about because I talked about it here on the show. And so when I tried to play the game, my controllers weren't working. It was really weird. Like I could see the cursor buttons and everything, but the more and more that I thought about it, I said, well, if anything, my silhouetted hands is what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing the controllers illuminated. Like, what the hell? So I couldn't quite figure it out. So last night, I just happened to see my headset in the bedroom, and I go, try to figure this out. So I charge it up, didn't have to wait that long. Next thing I know, I turn it on, and I've been using AI to help me more and more with like troubleshooting issues, helping me write letters, get some brainstorming ideas going, and then I go in afterwards, fine tune myself and everything. And I was talking with AI, and I said, hell, hey, walk me through. Like, here's the issue. Like, what can we do? It's like my controllers are not working. And I know this is brand new. I didn't get no refurbished stuff. Like, what the hell? So it turns out, this is a big piece of advice here, right? That I want to bring to your attention. So after about 10 minutes, I was able to figure out that the batteries were dead, which, of course, when you're thinking, when you have that, you're thinking, okay, so when the headset goes off, the batteries, are they really in the controllers? Once you turn the headset off, are the controllers totally off? Yes. That's not a short answer. That's no. Well, you see, no. When you turn off your headset, the controllers are completely off. The batteries that are installed in those controllers, very, very crappy. I can't remember the name of them right now, but I can tell you this: when you see the name, I think it's, I'm not even speculate, but when you see the batteries, you're gonna go, I've never heard of this name before. And if you've done your fair share of going to the Dollar Tree, Dollar General, you've seen those cheap ass batteries. You know the ones I'm talking about, and you get what you pay for, right? But these batteries, like, they're worse than those batteries, because at least those batteries at Dollar General and Dollar Tree and all that, at least they work, for what you needed to do. And if you're lucky, probably, especially if you're gingerly going to, like a MetaQuest, like you're gonna be all right if you don't do anything for about 2, 3 months. The battery's not gonna die. And so I was quite taken back by that, because only like 4 times, but the batteries essentially died the third time that I tried using my headset. So my biggest piece of advice, if you're gonna get the MetaQuest, the very first thing that I want you to do, besides getting that MetaQuest, invest in rechargeable name brand batteries. I have been pushing rechargeable Duracell. I'll show it to you guys on the next show. I've been pushing these rechargeable Duracell and Energizer batteries, and which I'm lucky. I'm actually able to take those batteries and put them in whichever charger. Like I win either way. That's cool, right? So I can take my Duracell rechargeable batteries and I could put them on the Energizer rechargeable pack that I put in the wall and then vice versa. So do that and you guys will thank me later. But I definitely wanted to pass that tip along because I was just thinking to myself, man, I wonder how many people had the same issue and maybe they ended up returning their units or they went through just all this weird troubleshooting, like thinking they needed a firmware update or thinking they needed this, thinking they needed that. No, you just need some good ass, reliable batteries, plain and simple. The more you know. Hey, I see AEW. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this. They're beginning to sell replica AEW TBS championship belts and they have gone on sale as of yesterday. Hefty little price tag. Pre-orders are available right now. They're taking pre-orders right now. And the belts are going to set you back $600. $600. These belts are going to set you back by. I also know there's the MJF belt that's not the belt, but the ring, the dynamite ring that he has running around. And from what I understand, you will get very bad, uh, what is it, ring rust? It's fake gold when it's all said and done. So your finger's going to turn blue, green. The diamonds are fake as I don't know what. I think they want somewhere between $150 to $200 for that ring. Not good. Not good whatsoever. Look, the TBS championship replica belt, I think it's really, really cool and everything. But at the same time, I think what really would have made that belt even cooler if maybe they included a couple of autograph 8x10s of all the folks that have held the belt so far. I think that would have been pretty badass. Or at least maybe also do something in a way where, okay, unlike the actual championship belt that you see on television, for this replica belt, exclusive to fans, you guys are gonna be able to swap out uh the side plates. Cause like I would have had like a situation where you could have swapped out the side plates as one of those side plates would have told you, okay, like here's all the champions thus far that has held this championship, give you the date when they won it to when they lost it. I think that would be really, really cool. That way you could differentiate, okay, am I looking at a replica or am I looking at the actual world heavyweight title? I think if they would have done something along those lines, that definitely would have made it a bit cooler, I think. And who knows, maybe somewhere down the road, that'll be something they'll look into. But yeah, so I don't know if you guys are interested, knock yourselves out. Knock yourselves out. Speaking of Dynamite, pretty relatively decent show that they had did for this past Wednesday. It was out in Norfolk, Virginia. I love Norfolk, Virginia. I don't get enough of an opportunity to go out there and visit, but I love it out there. I love the outdoorness. It's very remote, pretty rural, suburban. Heavy, heavy, heavy on the suburban. Nice, quiet life. I was telling the family, I said, as far as moving to a new home and everything, I was thinking, yeah, Waldorf, um, Norfolk, maybe, um, maybe Olney, Maryland. I want to kind of be in a really nice, quiet little area and everything. So shout out to my people up there. Some decent stuff that went down. We're not going to do a full review, just a couple of things that kind of caught my eye from this past week. I know the main meat and potatoes. We had Tony Storm in action against Miyu Yamashita, and here's AEW continuing. Look, decent match and everything, but here's the biggest problem. Like, we're not just seeing it here, but we also got to think about when Mercedes Monet is in action and everything, and she's taking on some random Japanese chick and everything. Which is, we bring these Japanese slash Asian talents in that mean absolutely nothing um in AEW slash ROH, especially when it's a case where these individuals are not featured on television frequently enough. We can have Excalibur yell to the clouds all he wants about how this person did this and this other promotion that's not AEW Tony Khan related. WWE related, TNA related, MLW related, AAA related. Like, he can be till he's blue in the face, just hype, 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 hype. That fan at the end of the day, they're not going to be interested. They're not going to care because to them, it's just a random face that they're seeing. And that's a huge problem that I still can't believe exists in 2025 there with AEW. My whole thing is focus on the talents that you already have and do your very best to build them up instead. So it doesn't matter what world championship Yamashita might have won, how many times she might have been a world champion. The match wasn't terrible. It was a decent match, but you got to give more substance to the fans for why they should care and everything. So, but it looks like Mercedes Monet and Tony Storm there. Looks like maybe we might get something with the two of them. So, looking forward to that. Also for the Ring of Honor TV title, Nick Wayne successfully defending against Jay Lethal. Nick Wayne starting to really grow into that man body of his, really starting to fill out, liking that. He is really getting better in the ring. And I am liking what I'm seeing. Young man has a very bright career ahead of him in the industry. Having him go up against Jay Lethal, nothing wrong with that. Jay Lethal, the veteran, want to get a good gauge on I like what I did there. Want to get a really good gauge on where you are as far as your in-ring prowess goes and everything, going up against OG like Jay Lethal. It's going to do nothing but help. It's going to do nothing but help when it's all said and done. Looks like eventually Gage and I said Cage and Wayne. There you go. Cage and Wayne. Christian Cage and Nick Wayne. It looks like eventually these two are going to be locking up. And I tell you what, I would love to see Cage turn on Wayne. I think that would be the bigger, especially if you want to get Wayne over as a huge baby face and all that. Yeah. I hope that's the way AEW is thinking, because I think if you were to flip it, see, here's the thing. We know eventually Christian Cage and Cope, we know eventually they're going to get back together. They're going to be a face, right? So, but I can't help but go, well, right before that happens, let's see Cage betray Wayne and right, like do it that way. But if they were to flip that, depending on how they do it, and they do it right, I wouldn't be opposed to it. We had the men's Owen Hart Cup semifinal, Kyle Fletcher taking on the Hangman, Adam Page, Hangman going over in the main event there. So Hangman Page, Will Ospreay, I'm down with that. Sounds a lot better than Osprey and Fletcher, because I just kind of feel like they've really beaten that horse to death when it's all said and done. So pretty solid show that they did for AEW this week. I would have to say. Owens Hart Cup, that's setting up some pretty good stuff there. The women's Owen Cup, very cold, but you're doing some decent build up. So not too shabby when it's all said and done. Not too shabby. I did see a little bit of NXT. Ricky Saints retaining his North American Championship against Lexus King. Solid opener. King, good opponent for Ricky Saints there. So good stuff right there. I know Metaphor broke up. Been a little bit inconsistent, I think. I'm okay. I'm okay seeing them break up and everything. North American Championship match. This is the women's North American Championship match. Sol Ruka taking on Carmen Petrovic. Sol Ruka retaining. Very short match. I was expecting a lot more. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I was expecting way more. This match went about maybe 3 minutes, so I was quite taken back by that. NXT North American Championship. Hank and Tank retaining against Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Anamori Anamora. Yeah, give me time. I'm gonna get it right eventually. Decent match. Nice first title defense there for Hank and Tank. Continuing to grow on me. Are you guys seeing it now? As far as Public Enemy, not the rap group, the old tag team from back in the day. We found out that Evolve is apparently gonna be involved in the battle royal that's going to be going down next week. It's going to be a 20-man battle royal, and whoever wins that will win the right to face Oba Femi for the NXT Heavyweight Championship at I think it's NXT Battleground that they got coming up. So FYI on that. Trick Williams is trying to enter that bad boy, but he's also eyeing the TNA World Heavyweight Championship as well. But we already told you earlier how Dark State had jumped Joe Hendry when he came out trying to, talk Trick Williams. He was trying to have Trick Williams come out, but yeah, Dark State kind of handled his ass there and everything. So pretty much that was it for NXT. Oh yeah, your main event match. Your main event match was Roxanne Perez and Julia teaming up to take on Io Sky and Jordan Grace. Solid ass main event. Good main event. Very fast moving. Some big moves, big power moves. Good stuff from all the women that was in there. So backstage, it ends with Stephanie Vakir, who's with Ava, who asks who her next opponent is. Ava says there's going to be a number one contenders match between Julia and Jordan Grace for next week. So some nice momentum that we got going on there. Some fun show that they had put out there for this week. So if you didn't get a chance to check that out on the DVR, definitely go out of your way and scoop it up when you guys get a chance. Definitely scoop that bad boy up. A little bit of wrestling news that's going on. Cope said that he only has a couple more years left, and that he thinks that with regards to this current contract with AEW, like he's pretty much going to be done once that contract is over. He was recently interviewed where he was asked how much longer he thinks he's going to be wrestling, and he talked about how, with the old schedule that he was doing, where he was working 200 days a year, like he felt very confident he could pull that off before, but now that he is physically at the advanced state that he's at, he's finding that recovery time, it's taking him about a week plus to physically heal up to the point where he's finally able to walk around the house and everything decently. before, so it's taking him a while there to get ready for another match and all of that. So, and of course, if you're keeping tabs, he's 51 right now. Uh, but this current contract, he's thinking, he's got until he's 53. That will pretty much put him at the end of his contract. He's thinking he's going to call it a day after that. So, it's nice to hear him say these things. It's nice to hear him basically. And look, we all knew as fans of this guy that when we heard that he was going to AEW, when we heard that he signed with AEW, like, first of all, we just knew it was a no-brainer once he was done with WWE. We just knew it was a no-brainer. Yeah, he's going to AEW. There's like no way he's going elsewhere. He ain't doing no New Japan. He's gonna go right to AEW, and rightfully so. You can work even more limited dates. You'll be able to work with some of your friends. You'll be able to do some really fresh, fun matchups that you've never been able to do before and everything. Like, and so, but we knew it was likely going to be temporary. I don't think any of us ever envisioned Cope, hey, by age 55, he's still going to be running around in a no, no. Just the fact that he's able to end his wrestling career on his terms. He wants to go out the way and we can debate if the whole move to AEW, if that has tarnished his overall legacy, if it's hurt his overall wrestling legacy. That's up for debate, because on the one hand, you can make a really good pro argument that no, on the contrary, and then you can make a con argument. Whether you want to do CON or KHAN, if you want to do a con argument, you can go that route as well. So it's nice to hear him thinking about that exit that's possibly going to be happening further down the road there. Also, Ric Flair was recently interviewed. He was asked what's going on with him as far as why he hasn't been appearing on AEW television. As in case you are not aware, he is still under contract to AEW, right? He pretty much has that Macho Man Randy Savage Slim Jim type of deal with his little Woo energy drink and how it's associated there with AEW, Tony Khan and everything. He recently was interviewed talking about the reason why he's not on TV is because Tony Khan wasn't aware that he was on blood thinners, because apparently he was getting ready to do some type of a blade job going into Sting's last match, and he had made a blade. He was ready to go, and Tony Khan was like, "Yeah, no, 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 no." Honestly, I I think only part of that is the truth. I think just we're not going to spend 15 minutes counting the many, many negative ways of Ric Flair, but it's safe to say that Tony Khan is honestly going, you know what? I just, this was a bad move. I don't need this headache. Just some of the stuff that was happening with Ric Flair in the headlines. He just, this point, wants to create that distance between himself and Flair. That's where really things are right now. I don't know how much longer this deal is. It feels like when the whole thing went down with Ric Flair and AEW, it feels like that was maybe last year. And I remember them saying a multi-year deal. So for all we know, that could be 3 years, that could be 4 years, but I'm definitely gonna say that it's just a matter of time before we see Ric Flair back on WWE television. Just the way that they have been name dropping him more and more, it kind of seems as though whatever past issues might have been happening there between Ric Flair and Triple H, that maybe things got smoothed over and everything. Speaking of things being smoothed over, I saw the highlight transcript interview there that Stone Cold Steve Austin gave, where he reflected on what had happened with the ATV. And as many of you guys know, Stone Cold Steve Austin, if you're following him on social media, this man knows ATVs like the back of his hand. And so not once did I ever think this guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing there. My whole thing was just, yeah, something's not quite right with uh mechanically wise. Something's not quite right with that ATV, and he did confirm that's pretty much what was the issue. I don't know, I don't want to say hydraulic, but he said something that I was like, ah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Like, boom, that sucks. And of course, he mentioned the whole woman that he kind of bumped into there on the barricade. Still the funniest stuff I've ever seen in my entire life. He is still recovering from his knee replacement surgery. He did that back in December, and they said, his doctors, that it was going to take at least a full year before he is fully recovered. So I definitely feel that by next WrestleMania, I definitely feel he's going to be doing something. I don't know if it's going to be a match, but definitely as far as being physical, I definitely see him doing some stuff at next year's WrestleMania. But with that in mind, I know a lot of people were kind of, we haven't really Stone Cold and Triple H, and it kind of seems like now with Stone Cold Steve Austin making that appearance at WrestleMania, being part of the whole Hall of Fame weekend, as that match, him and Bret Hart, that went into its own respected wing and everything. It kind of feels like the beginning of a renewed commitment and relationship between WWE and Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think there's going to be more stuff on the horizon between the two, contrary to maybe how we might have felt in previous years, where we're going, yo, what's going on? Is everything cool between Stone Cold and WWE? What's going on here? So good stuff. Good stuff. This weekend, Wild Women of Wrestling. Here's a preview for you guys. We got a triple threat match, number one contenders match. Santana Garrett versus Genesis versus Paola. Meanwhile, Xena Phoenix takes on Coach Campanelli. Chainsaw and Daisy Lane are going to go up against Roxy Fierce and Chantilly Cella. And your main event match, Holiday versus Fury. So check your local listings. Should be pretty solid. Speaking of women, shout out to my girl Jazz. Jazz is going to be receiving the Cauliflower Alley Club's Women's Wrestling Award. This will be the 59th annual CAC reunion. It'll be in Las Vegas. It's going to be happening in August 18th through the 20th at the Plaza Hotel and Casino. That is pretty badass. That is pretty badass. I think I might try to go to that event. I think that is going to be on a weekend. I'm trying to actually look at my calendar real quick so I can see exactly when that is, because man, I would love it if I could go to that. So the 18th through the 20th, that is going to be a Monday through Wednesday, To my knowledge, I don't have any classes that start around that period just yet, because my fall transfer doesn't go into effect until a week or two after Labor Day. So that would be I got to double check though, but that would be pretty good. I think I might actually go to that. Carmella continuing to do interviews. Remember, we were right here talking about that initial interview that Carmella gave, and I had said, man, she should have never done that interview. Um, just not in the right headspace. It's very easy to quickly do an interview and be caught up in your feelings when, you need to take a step back, and you need to be a little bit more rational. You need to think about the fact that although you might not be there anymore, your husband is still there, and you have a child now, and you don't really want to rock the boat, especially when you don't have a guaranteed backup that's ready to go and everything. Those were some of the points that I had made. As remember, I was not a fan of that interview, especially with the co-host that was egging on, oh, I would sue and all that stupid crap. Like, that's just poor interviewing. That's not how you do it. That is just not how you do it. And I'm sure for her, It got her the clicks, it got her the engagements, and more power to you. Like, write that and everything. But just when it was all said and done, it was a bad interview for Carmella. And you don't need to be in that type of an atmosphere where you have an interviewer that um is truly not being unbiased and is not. And I don't care whether that is a longtime friend or they're somehow related. Like, you're gonna do something like that, you got to make sure you're covering all fronts and everything. So obviously, the next couple of interviews she did after that, she's really been trying to do damage control. But this most recent interview that she gave to the folks over at the Wrestling Classic, she talked about how her contract situation was handled, and expressing some really great gratitude there for WWE, saying, and I quote, "I feel like in the moment it was very jarring," talking about when she was released and just her feelings and all of that. "I was shocked. I didn't get a lot of notice. To me, that's what kind of was like, wow, but I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Everything happens for a reason. I feel so blessed with my time in WWE. I'm just so grateful for my time in WWE. And I'm grateful that at this point in my life, I can kind of pivot and focus on what's next and just live my best life. I want a break." Now, some of you guys may be like, "Well, Lee, the girl's been gone for like 2 years, homie. Like, what break is she talking about?" So, like, remember when she went out, she was having some foot issues, and she's still having foot issues to this date. And in the process of all that, she got pregnant. So, motherhood and navigating those waters and everything. And, time flies real quick. And I'm sure she got to a certain point where she hit up creative and, came up with some ideas. And, that pretty much got shot down, unfortunately. And, Carmella, it was one of those situations where essentially out for too long, and WWE realizing the crop of talents that they have at their disposal. And, it's unfortunately one of those, what it kind of reminds me of? One of my favorite classic TV shows of all time, Taxi. And I think the guy's name was Bobby that was on the show. I think he was there for like the first three, maybe four seasons. He was the aspiring actor, wanted to make it big in Hollywood. And, you always were rooting him on and everything. You wanted him kind of like the Tony Danza's character, hey, come on, win those boxing matches, come on, right? But Bobby was an aspiring actor. But the actor that played that character, unfortunately for him, he was drugged out a lot during those first couple of seasons. And it got to a point where, you had a few episodes where he just was not available because he was so drugged out. So what happened? Writers and producers, they're brainstorming and they're basically going, okay, well, you know what? Let's take his dialogue that he was supposed to have in this scene between Laka and all these other characters, and instead let's just have these guys pick up the slack, and let's see how, at first they felt, well, this guy's essential. We need him. But then when they saw how, well, wait a minute here, the chemistry is still intact, we're still able to, it's still funny. Oh, we don't really need him as we thought we did. And eventually he got the boot. So I unfortunately, I kind of look at what was happening there with Carmella. Obviously not from a drugged out, but you get the somewhat of the correlation that I'm making there. So, but I like seeing her do these interviews and, um, hey, I got caught up in the moment. And, I like seeing her take self accountability, and all that. And look, she's right to feel, who are we to tell her, hey, this is how you should feel. My message, if anything, was just that first, and my whole thing was that first interview that should have never happened. because she was days removed from, and unfortunately, I know the nature of the beast because I've been doing this for almost 15 years. And typically, when somebody is released by a wrestling company, you've got mofos all out the yin yang. They will hop into that person's inbox, DM them on social media. Hey, how about an interview opportunity? Hey, we'd love to have you come on the show and talk about yakety smackety. And that's how it always goes. Like, I still remember the interview that I did a long time ago with Mason Ryan. You remember Mason Ryan? He Batista 2.0. Remember? Batista 2.0. And I'll never forget, I was talking to him fresh off of his WWE release. And leading up to that interview, I remember back then, way back then, my wife would help me out with helping. She would help me out from a public relations standpoint, and being that buffer between myself and the guests. And she would do the, hey, we love to have you on the show. Like, here's what we're about. Here's our stats. And the guests would come back, and they would either let her know they'd be interested in doing the show or not. And then she would make sure, here, anything particularly you don't want us to talk about. Da, 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 da. And I remember with Mason Ryan, he there was a few things that he did not feel comfortable talking about, but I remember overall his whole thing was, I don't want to be embarrassed during this interview. I don't want to have any gotcha questions. I don't want to. And my wife was like, "You've got nothing to worry about." And she told him straight up, she's like, "Look, Lee's my husband, and you, well, actually, not husband, because back then we weren't married yet. So I think I'm pretty sure back then she said, look, he's my fiance. He's like, trust me. He's like, I've known the guy for, you got nothing to worry about." And he was like, oh, okay, great, great, great. And, I remember, like, that's how you take care of your guests. That is how you take care of your guests. You make sure that beforehand, like, because you're not trying to pull a Geraldo Rivera. You're not trying to pull a I got you. You're not trying. You're just trying to have a really good interview that when it's all said and done, whoever you're interviewing, like, that guest can be like, "Yo, I'm proud of the way you handled that. That was really good. Really great questions. Hey, that." And when you do it right, they remember. Trust me, that guess, they remember stuff like that, because eventually you'll get to that point where not only are you now rememberable because, hey, they were, that guest is going, hey, not only was that show respectful to me, but they went above and beyond. And that's how you're able to get follow-up interviews. And eventually it's one of those cases where you guys become so friendly with one another that you may get to that point where that guest may have an exclusive piece of news just for you and everything. I think about my friend Julian Cannon from Digiday and the Nocturnal. He's been covering Walking Dead for years, and he is, like, essentially at a point where he and I don't think he would mind me saying this, I don't think this is out of context, but he is on very good rapport with Jeffrey Dean Morgan. They have so much in common, especially as far as being parents and all that goes. It's gotten to a point now where Jeffrey Dean Morgan, when he sees Julian, Jeffrey Dean Morgan goes out of his way to greet Julian, talk with him for several minutes, whether it is before being interviewed and or after being interviewed and all of that. They have these really cool moments and all that. Like, and to Julian's credit, he's talked to Jeffrey Dean Morgan for his publications a few times over the years. So, that is the job of a good interviewer, a good presenter. You want to do everything in your power to be as unbiased, as neutral as possible. And when it comes off like you're going into it all for yourself, you're in business for yourself, that's where the disconnect, and so I'm really happy that Carmella, and it seems like WWE, because look, we see Corey Graves look like he ain't been punished and all that, so that's good. Speaking of Carmella and Corey Graves, congratulations are in order, as apparently they're going to be welcoming a second child. So congratulations to them. That child is coming this fall, apparently. So I have only one question. I have not seen anybody ask this online. Considering what happened with that first interview where she went off the rails and all that, I'm just a little bit curious. Was she already pregnant at that point? Or did it happen shortly afterwards? Because usually, and you guys got to forgive me, but usually, if I'm not mistaken, once a child is conceived, it takes like about what, 5 weeks, I think, before you start showing a little baby bumper. No, 3. I think it's, yeah, no, I said it right, about 5 weeks before you start showing a baby bump and all that other stuff. So I'm just trying to understand, like, so when exactly was she pregnant? Like, did she know she was pregnant when it came to that interview, that first interview? Because if so, wow, just think about that for a second. We're going on and on about this for a reason, because I don't see anybody else talking about this. And this is a very valid point. If she was pregnant during that time of that first interview and she knew, right? Now, if you're asking me, man, that's a tough one. If you're asking me, though, the fact the kid is going to be born this fall, and you guys got to forgive me, but this is where I got to pull up some AI information, right? So let's type in how long before a baby is born. So that's the first question. We're going to get an answer instantly here from AI. Well, wait a minute. It's struggling. AI is struggling. Wait a minute. Let's try that again. Hang on, fam. All right. So how long before a baby is born? All right, so let's type that in there. All right, now we got it. So a full-term pregnancy typically lasts around 40 weeks, counting from the first day of the person's last menstrual period. This is roughly 9 months, but doctors often break it down in 3 trimesters. Okay. So weeks 1 through 12, that's when the baby's basic structures form. Second trimester, weeks 13 to 26, marked by rapid growth and development. Third trimester, weeks 27 to 40, when the baby prepares for birth. But remember, we're talking roughly we're talking roughly 40 weeks. So looking at your calendar, thinking from a calendar standpoint, so you're looking at 4 what's that? 4 8 16, 20, 24, right? You're basically looking at about 10 months, essentially, right? Because 4 times 10, right? 4 times 10. Wait, no. Yeah, no. I'm doing 40. Yeah. So you're looking at about 10 months. I said it right. You're looking at about 10 months. So if the child is going to be due this fall, really makes you wonder if that very first interview, if that was just for shock and all purposes, because if she did know that she was pregnant and she was doing that interview, it's kind of one of those deals where, well, wait a minute, you couldn't contribute to the ring. How else are we supposed to utilize you? Why should we give you another contract when you see where I'm going with this? So I find it kind of, I don't mean to be thinking stuff like that, but it's a really good point as far as when did she know she was pregnant? Because if your child is coming this fall, right? But congratulations. I will leave it at congratulations. Forgive me for being Columbo here, but just I wasn't even thinking hard about it. It just popped up in my head. No bull, it just popped up in my head. So hey, as we get ready to wrap up, man, we got some exciting things on the horizon, man. We hooked up with a really cool sponsor. I am so hyped for this. You guys have no idea. So we hooked up with this really cool sponsor. And they basically were like, look, we've checked out your show. We like your content for a up and coming creator, as long as you've been out there, like metric wise, we like what you're putting out there. We see your metrics, looks pretty good. We want you to promote our stuff. And this it's a drink. This is a drink that you guys pick up at your local grocery store, gas station. It ain't Prime. Tell you that right now. It's not Prime. But these guys have been out much longer than Prime. I will tell you that. So we're going to start working on some fun ad campaigns, video campaigns for them. I'm going to be sitting down in the next couple of days, and because they're going to be sending me some stuff to try out. And then in the process of all that, I'm going to also have to record some really cool video footage, hyping them up, all that good stuff. And this could be the beginning of an ongoing relationship. So they're going to be paying very close attention to the way this content is produced. And of course, they're going to be looking at the metrics as well. And if everything goes good, we could be working with them on a regular basis. So when you see this stuff, and as it gets closer and we get ready to, release it, trust me, and we need all the support we can get. When I begin hyping this, whatever affiliate links I put out there and all that, like, I want you guys to light it up. Okay. Light it up. Cause man, that's like great. I'm so honored. I'm so honored that I'm working with these guys. Seriously. So, and I want to give them like the best stuff that they can get and everything. So looking forward to it. We should have something up and rolling. My goal is within the next 3 weeks, definitely way before the month of May is out. Y'all are going to see their ads running around and all that. But I'm excited. I am very, very excited. Once everything is produced and I'm ready to publish it, that's when you guys will know. So as long as you're following me throughout social media, you're going to get the skinny and everything. So, but once it's out, show it love, because they're going to be looking at the metrics and all of that. And so it's great that they're going to be paying attention to how well this content's going to be produced, but the metrics is what, and that's the best part. We don't need like, oh, you didn't get, 500,000 views, or, like, they know what we're about. They know what we're capable of metric wise. So there's already a certain goal that they have in mind that they're expecting. But what I want to do is put us in a position where you, the loyal listeners, you, the audience, you guys are able to like triple those numbers as far as their expectations go. So, whew, can't wait for that. Speaking of sponsors, I definitely want to give a shout out to some of our sponsors for this edition. Once again, and we're working with somebody else. I got to get with Tams and see how this is looking, because we have an additional sponsor that we're supposed to be promoting. I got to take a look at that, because we're supposed to slide them into this episode. So I'm going to be doing that in post-production. Shout out to my friends over at ljdiscounts.com. If you're looking for unbeatable deals on everything from electronics to home essentials, ljdiscounts.com is your one-stop shop for quality products at discounted prices. For a limited time, first-time buyers get 60% off your subtotal when your cart is over $100. Just type the word deal, like you're looking for a big deal. Type the word deal in the coupon box at checkout. That's right, 60% off your first order when your order is $100 or more in that cart. Then you type in that promo code. We're also brought to you in part by AI Studios. Ready to bring your creative vision to life? Meet AI Studios, your ultimate companion in the world of artificial intelligence. At AI Studios, they harness the power of cutting-edge technology to deliver stunning, lifelike animations and custom AI-generated content tailored to your needs. Check them out, aistudios.com. No credit card is required. Who doesn't love hearing that? Last but not least, we are brought to you in part by, actually, we have two more sponsors. I at least want to give our newest sponsor, even though I'm going to be sliding their ad in later. I definitely want to at least verbally mention them. Shout out to my friends at claimmysetcrefund.com. You may be eligible for a refund of over $30,000 if you worked in key positions in 2021. Let them help you find those tax breaks. It's easy to do this, and obviously the April 15th tax season deadline has passed, but you can still go on ahead, put yourself in a really good position where you can find those tax breaks and all that. Obviously, at this point, you're going to have to pay a little bit of a small fee, but if you don't mind doing that, especially if you can get up to $30,000, check out the guys over at claimmysetcrefund.com. And then I want to give a shout out to, verbally at least, I want to give a shout out to our newest sponsor who we're supposed to be working with here. Let me see if I can pull these guys up real quick. Shout out to the folks at github.com. Let's see here. Let me just see what this is about real quick. I know Tammy is supposed to tell me a lot more about this. What is this I'm looking at? I really, really definitely need to talk to Tams about this to figure out what these guys are about. Oh, okay. They got a application link. Okay. Bear with me a second here and I'll be able to tell you guys real quick. Support our sponsors, man, because without them, content like what you're checking out right now would not be made possible. Oh, it's a Comic World website. Oh, okay. So we are brought to you in part by the Genesis Heist.app. So go on over to www.the, type in THE, Genesis Heist.app. And apparently this is about a comic book. Can I somehow find out what this is all about here? Cool artwork. What is this? Okay, they're a little bit all over the place. So it looks like we're promoting some type of a comic book for them and their social media projects. Am I looking at this right? Let me see here. Huh. Yeah, I got to research this more, fam, because they're a little bit all over the place. So I'm gonna have to get with Tams and figure out what exactly are we promoting from them. Because on the one hand, I'm saying like this really cool digital comic book, but then on the other hand, it looks like they are promoting some type of um, yeah, that they're like a little bit all over the place. Something about Lightning Payments Network powered by Zeus. Zeus Pay empowers anyone to unlock instant digital value securely while helping build Bitcoin. Yeah, so they're a little bit all over the place. I don't know what's going on with that. Sorry about that, fam. See, I was just trying to show love to our sponsors, but yeah, I'll get with Tams and we'll figure that out. All right, your next edition of the RCWR show at this point is going to be coming at you guys. Let's see here. We're definitely done for the week. At this point, we are going to be doing a weekend edition of Wrestling with the Topics. Me and Tams are definitely going to be sitting down doing that. She liked how things played out with the last show, even though we had the audio hiccup issue. But otherwise, we're going to do it again. Looking forward to that. I'm definitely going to be picking her brain a lot more on Washington Commanders because she has been a faithful, diehard Commanders fan. She could talk all things Commanders. So I definitely am going to be looking to put her on the spot, get her take on what's been happening there with that. Also get her take on the Six Flags stuff. So I know she has her own little memories there. So we'll talk about that, go over some other fun little stuff as well. And then your next edition of the RCWR show will be going down Monday night, May 5th, 2025. That should be a fun week because if I'm not mistaken, that weekend we're going to be going into WWE Backlash. And on that Monday show, I will definitely give you guys what I think will be we're going to have two breakdown lists. I'm going to give you a list of likely final opponents for John Cena during this tour. And then my list of opponents I would like to see for John Cena as he's on his way to put a pretty little ribbon around this. Don't forget, John Cena is going to be at the Philly Expo. That's going to be happening in a couple of weeks, and his autograph photo op opportunities there. We're talking $200 a pop. So if you want to get his autograph, $200. If you want to get a photo op, $200. There's a couple of packages available. There's even going to be a live John Cena Q&A joint and everything. So anybody that's going to be going out there to that Philly event, definitely give me a holler, especially if you're going to be going to the John Cena live Q&A. I would love it if you could record some audio, video, and would definitely love to re-syndicate it here on the show for the listeners and viewers. So if you're going to be going to that, definitely hit me up all throughout social media. You can even leave a comment on any of the videos or shoot an email. You can send an email over to the RCWR show at gmail.com. That's THE, then RCWR show at gmail.com. I know one of my classmates is going to be going, but he's only going to be going, I think, for the photo op. He's not going to be going for the Q&A or the autograph. And I asked him, I said, are you going to get his autograph? He was like, I don't know. I said, dude, it's like a once in a lifetime situation here. If you can raise the money in time, like, you should really go on ahead and get the man's autograph as well, because he's got a nice little United States Championship belt replica that's not signed yet. And I'm looking at that going, man, when I think John Cena, one of my first memories is him as the United States champion. I'm just looking at that going, yeah, man, like you really need to get that bad boy signed. So I know Rob Feinstein of RF Video, signed by Superstars. He is supposed to be doing, I think, a private signing with John Cena, either leading up to that event or actually at that event. So I don't know if I'm gonna, because there's a part of me that's like, it's too short of a notice. That's the thing. Like, if I knew about this a couple of months ago, oh, I would have been all over that bad boy. But like, by the time I found out about it, it was like, so yeah. All right, guys, I want you guys to have a fantastic week. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll catch you for this weekend's Wrestling with the Topics. Everybody else, will catch you for the Monday night edition of the RCWR show. Be kind, rewind. Check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads, wherever you get your podcasts. Just search the RCWR show. Get at me out throughout social media as well, using those same key words. Head up to YouTube, show that some love as well. Been publishing some content on that as of late. Gotta get into some more foodie reviews as well. Until next go round, my pretty babies, wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you guys next go round. Adios, y'all. Take care.